Brandon Bell and I are launching our own podcast here, powered by State Media. It's called the Pocket Podcast, and we're bringing you everything Penn State football.
Yeah, man. As we said, AB, so when he hit me up, asked me about the opportunity, it was like, said I'll be working with you. And I was like, oh, that's easy. Come on now. Come on now. We could do that. We could easily do that. We can easily do that.
I can't remember a season that there's been as much hype and excitement surrounding the team, surrounding the program, the fan base, starting number 7 in the country.
Yeah, 11-2 last season, really.
Yeah.
And that's a quiet 11-2.
Quiet 11-2.
And there should be more light shed on it. And that's why I think the hype is built for this 2023 season, and I'm on the hype train. I'm not gonna lie.
No, we're gonna go around. We're gonna go down here.
Oh, I was.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Sorry. Good. How are you, Viva?
Been a minute. My God.
What's up, man?
How you doing, brother?
Good, bro.
Shoot, man. I forgot how deep in the sticks you were, bro.
You know me, though.
I'm used to it, though. That's how it came up.
Yeah, I know it. So.
I ain't been over here in a minute.
Wasn't a bad trip?
No. Cool.
Good. What's up, guys? Super stoked about this. I kind of teased this at the VIP event. Brandon Bell and I are launching our own podcast here, powered by State Media. It's called the Pocket Podcast, and we're bringing you everything Penn State football. We're gonna tease it a little bit. I think naturally as the season goes on, we're gonna start talking about Big Ten, big picture, national picture, and stuff like that. But we're really excited about this segment of our kickoff season here with Penn State. And B, it's been a minute. I'm stoked to see you here, man. Thanks for coming.
Yes, sir, bro. Appreciate it. No doubt. I'm glad to be here. Shoot, AB put us together. I'm glad Mercury, everyone reached out, the partnership. It's I think it's perfect timing. I think it's perfect timing.
Without a doubt. And my man AB big timed us. He's supposed to be here or partially involved at some point in time, but he's got bigger fish to fry, but we'll definitely get him on throughout the season. And I think it's good, man. We're kind of talking about Penn State football and the evolution of NIL and what that means in the space. And I think I want to start this off by just giving our listeners and the Penn State fan base in general kind of an idea of what we're doing here, how it got to this point, and ultimately what the future looks like. From a Mercury standpoint, from an NIL standpoint with the Happy Valley United Collective, and then ultimately from a on the field performance standpoint, and how we kind of make all of those things gel with respect to the old Penn State way, which I think you got a lot to elaborate on. We both do with our experience there and kind of our time there, and then gelling that and setting the program up for success in the future. Right?
Yes.
So with that, I know you signed the deal. We're all here. We're both here for that reason. I kind of want to know your thoughts on that background, and then I can kind of dive into our side of things as well.
Yeah, man. As we said, AB, I feel like it was kind of like setting the Avengers up together, almost in a way. I got the call pretty out of the blue, and obviously I've been paying attention to Brenneman and everything he's been able to do so far, rising up in this game. Something I definitely pay attention to as I work in this industry, kind of behind the scenes. But lately I've been thinking, people always tell me, you could get on the mic and talk, and you should be more in front of the camera a little bit. So when he hit me up, asked me about the opportunity, it was like putting a piece of the puzzle together. Said I'll be working with you. And I was like, oh, that's easy. Come on now. We could do that. We could easily do that. And, we connected, kind of reconnected last couple of years. Yeah. Pre-COVID, post-COVID. Yeah. You're a Jersey guy now, so.
Yeah, I'm stuck here.
Yeah.
Stuck here. Happy life.
Hey, I'm trying to get there. But yeah, so I appreciate it. Appreciate you inviting me in, and I'm ready to get this thing on the road, man.
Yeah, no doubt. So this partnership's been big. Like I said and hinted at, we did a kickoff event at the stadium last week, and I think NIL is such an unknown factor for a lot of people, and I think it's partially due to the way that it was rolled out. I think the NCAA just kind of opened the floodgates, and when you do that and leave a lot of gray area, there tends to be people that take advantage of that. And I think you see that across the national landscape. And when you have a traditional program like Penn State, a traditional fan base like our fan base is, the concept can be a little intimidating, it can be new, it can be a little bit frightful, but I think that this is really, really important. And you've heard Coach Franklin talk about it consistently. You know, we need to compete in the NIL space. We need to compete in the marketing and branding space. And that's something he even did since we got there. You know what I mean? Like, we really flipped the script because Bill was kind of old school, like kept football. It in the building, more like Belichick-ish.
He's a pro
those
coach,
types
man.
of things. I mean, he came from the Patriot way. So it was kind of like kept it in the building, kept it quiet, and recruited certain kids that resonated with.
Right.
But we really want to bring visibility into that. We want to continue to create experiences for fans. We want to continue to create a platform for our student athletes to benefit from. So kind of in a nutshell, that's what we're here for. And then we also, to Brandon's point, wanted to come together and bring you guys a bunch of media and start talking about the season. I think that Brandon, the last podcast I did with the linebackers with Joshua Perry, he's an Ohio State guy.
Yeah. I like him though.
But JP knows his stuff, I love the defensive side of the ball from y'all's view. I think it's very similar to mine, and we see the game similarly. And then like B said, we go back a ways. I think we were the two true freshmen in 2013 to really get a bunch of run. I mean, AB got some run, but
no,
you know what I mean.
He did. So speaking on that, it's funny. I was for some reason deep dive into my Facebook messages.
Yeah.
So they make you download the app and all this stuff. I never really did, so I finally did.
Yeah.
And messages from you and Brenneman, kind of, yo, welcome to the crew, commitment. Let's really do things up, do it big, Penn State history. And we got to drop those in here too. I was sending screenshots, but that was just funny. Right at the same time, it's like divine timing. After Brenneman texted me, hit me up about this. Yeah. I was like, oh, look at that, man. Look at that. It's funny. You guys, leading that class that you were speaking on. Yeah. Definitely made your mark. Yeah. Well, we made our mark.
Let's not get that twisted. We all did. And it's cool, man. And we never got to be captains together. I was a captain in 14 and 15. And you were a captain at 16. And that's probably one of my biggest honors in my playing career was being a captain up there. So you got two guys who did it the right way, I think. And we're really excited again to get this thing going and what we're doing. So with that being said, we're here to talk Penn State football.
Yes, we are.
And I think that there's a lot to talk about. I can't remember a season that there's been as much hype and excitement surrounding the team, surrounding the program, the fan base, starting number 7 in the country.
Yeah.
Let me hear what you got on that. I think that's a big thing.
It is.
And it's kind of uncharted territory, especially considering the last 10 years in the program and all the ups and downs. It's pretty incredible we're in this point.
It definitely is. And I had a chance to speak with some of these guys, some of the players and some of the staff. And I said to these guys, I didn't realize 11-2 last season, really.
Yeah.
And that's a quiet 11-2.
Quiet 11-2.
I mean, shout out to that squad. As we know, the squad's changed up a little bit.
Yeah.
But like you said, that's a quiet, very successful season, and there should be more light shed on it. And that's why I think the hype is built for this 2023 season. And I'm on the hype train. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, and I think last year is unique. You had Clifford, who felt like he'd been there for 24 years and just scrounged eligibility out. And I thought he did a fantastic job overall. And I've texted him, we've talked on the side, but his whole path and trajectory was great. And I think I think everyone's goal, especially at that position, just talking personally for me, was leaving the place better than when you came in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think Cliff did that. Mm-hmm. And, when it comes to the expectations this year, I thought some of the young guys got a ton of burn.
Yeah.
And especially on the offensive side of the ball, you look at it, this roster, again, is as deep as it's ever been. I think specifically at the offensive line position.
Yep.
Key point, Mike Yurcich being back, finally got some consistency. I don't know how many offensive coordinators they've been through since we left. I mean, you had JD, you had Ricky for a little bit, and then Soraka came in, and then Joe Moorhead. I forgot about Moorhead. So you start losing the names because there were so many guys, and that's tough to really build an identity, especially on that side of the ball.
Identity is key.
Correct.
That's what you just said. And as you said, they're deep at the O-line, which has been somewhat of an issue, I'd say. Maybe we could say. But like you said, that depth, I think, is what has put us on the trajectory to be in the top tier programs in the country, not just division, in the country. And that's why, part of the reason why I think the hype is built, because I mean, you could see it.
Yeah,
you could see it.
And on that point, like the depth, it breeds success internally. Like not when the lights are on and not when people are looking, but it's something that we really never had the fortune of having a ton of it, right? Like we kind of knew who were the guys, and then the developing guys, and then you had the practice, the guys who were going to make it tough at practice, give you some looks. But when you talk about the best programs in the country, there's always depth there, even with the transfer portal. Yep. You look at Alabama, you look at Georgia, they find a way to
reload,
Ohio State. They consistently keep really good talent in the 2 and 3 deep, which allows them, to your point, to reload, because internally they have that mindset of compete, earn your stripes. I'm going to get an opportunity to do something great here and then move on, right? And I think Penn State's done a good job of placing guys in the NFL.
Yeah.
But collectively building that depth chart, I think, has been an issue. And for whatever reason, consistency in the offensive and defensive court. Well, not necessarily defense. You had Shoop, and then you had Brent come in. The defense is always, and then now Manny. But I think just overall, just that consistent turnover and stuff has been really hard. And now you look at it, you got a deep tenured O-line who's got a ton of experience, and you got a roster that's competing consistently day in, day out, not just ones versus ones, but 1 to 3, 4 deep even at some positions.
Right. And I think, like you said, Coach Franklin has done a good job of just breeding competition. That word, compete in everything you do. And you see it now with the depth that they have. I mean, as we keep alluding to the excitement for this year, and I think it starts off with, we talked about Clifford, and he did a great job. I believe he handled all his career the right way, with honor. And like you said, he left the place better than he came into it. But now it's the Drew show. It's the Drew era.
What's your thoughts on that? Because I got some things that I've highlighted, and I think the way that they handled him coming in last year is something that needs to be talked about. And I'll elaborate it after you give me your thoughts. But what's your thoughts on Drew's hype? Really the depth in that quarterback room too, because Bo's not a slouch.
Yeah.
You got some young kids coming in who've come in, like they got guys that can play 3 down, and that was a problem for them 2 years ago.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Especially when Clifford went down against Iowa, that banged the season up pretty good. Yeah. So, again, we keep getting back to this depth thing, but I want to hear your thoughts about Drew and ultimately where you see that going.
I mean, like you said, we keep going back to it, but I think the competition in that room, as we know, it breeds a better product.
Yeah.
No matter what position it is, and I think we saw that with Drew coming in last year. And obviously, we're not in the QB room. We don't know how that camp went last year, but I think Drew pushed Cliff to put his best foot forward out there, as he obviously was going to. But competition makes everyone a little bit better.
Yeah.
So I think the way they handled Drew, I think, was the perfect way. Obviously, he proved that he belonged on the field, and he got some snaps even outside of when Clifford was a little banged up. But I think those snaps, that experience is invaluable. I mean, as we hopefully will see, whether it's the second or fourth quarter and some of the blowout games or the big moments that I think in Iowa this past season, Cliff went down for a little bit.
Yeah.
And he stepped in there. And I think what proved that they have confidence is when he stepped in there, they didn't hand it off.
Yeah.
Right.
They didn't run a quarterback counter.
They didn't run a quarterback counter.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact first play, but I know that corner route he threw on the money wasn't caught, but that right there proved to me, I was like, okay, they like this kid.
Yeah.
He clearly had a pretty good camp. He seems pretty comfortable. And then we saw little teases throughout the year, and I think that was the perfect way to handle a QB controversy everybody wanted it to be.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. I think Penn State has a knack for putting not unrealistic, but they put a ton of pressure and high expectations on kids coming in, right? Yeah. I'm not going to necessarily zero out Penn State. I think that's a place everywhere, right?
It's the culture in sports now.
But I felt it. I experienced it, and I think when they came in with Drew and there was all this controversy, when I stepped in here, we really didn't have anything proven prior to that, right?
Yeah.
Like Matt just left, had Tyler Ferguson, and then Stephen Bench. Stephen Bench ends up transferring, so. Realistically speaking, like it was a much easier choice, I think, to roll me out there week 1 because you didn't have a guy who was on the verge of being the the leading passer in Penn State history, right?
Right.
So Cliff had a ton of experience, and when you have a young guy like that, with a roster that kind of knows him, believes in him, Mike Yursich believed in Cliff, but they also wanted to get this kid some valuable reps. I thought they did a great job of, like you said, inserting him in positions where he had to do things that you're not necessarily going to ask a guy who's just like, hey, emergency, throw him in there, figure it out. Like, they put him in some pretty unique situations, and I thought they brought him along very well. And I think all of those experiences are going to stack up, and ultimately, there's still things he hasn't done, right? He hasn't had to go down and win a game with 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter. He hasn't had to start fast after a slow week at practice, where his body hurts after the previous week. Like, he hasn't had to figure those things out, but those things come. And when you have the talent that he does, you expect the coaching staff and him mentally to grow and mature to be able to handle those things. So leading that up into this year, the one thing that I will say is unlike my situation, and I think unlike a few other situations out there, he's got a ton of stability around him that hasn't been at Penn State, like I said, for a long time. They have the ability to turn around, hand the ball off to Nick Singleton, Katron Allen, 2 studs, one of the best backfields, I think, in the country.
Put some respect on it, man. Put some respect on it.
You know what I mean? They got a great running game. I think Yursich has finally identified who he wants to be offensively. And they're able to do that and impose that pretty much against anybody.
Yeah, that's a beautiful sight.
And I'm a firm believer. I thought Penn State was pretty gimmicky when he first got here. Like, they would throw those unbalanced sets in. They do some goofy things to kind of create explosives.
Right.
But now you're seeing them get explosives out of their everyday day one install. And I think that's what you see the best programs in the country do consistently. And then they have, some wrinkles based upon what they're seeing.
It's college football still.
But it's what they're seeing on game prep and tape, right? So Drew's got a ton of hype this year. I'm really excited for him, but ultimately, like I said, I don't think it's necessarily a question about Drew Allar.
Right.
I think it's a question about, can the rest of the team come in, continue to bring a consistency around him, and then let him grow organically through those experiences. They're going to be good. They're going to be bad. You know what I mean? There's going to be ups and downs, but you got to really be able to figure those things out. Moving on, what else are you excited about from the offensive side of the ball? I think we talked about the O-line. We talked about the quarterback room, but I think that there's a few other positions that have some experience, and then we have some few other positions that also have question marks.
Yes. And let's go straight to the question marks. I think, with that, like you said, tight ends, some of the best in the country.
No doubt. Shout out Ty Howe.
Yeah, T. Howe. Yes, sir.
My guy.
I went up there the past last season, and I was just super happy to see him in the room, man. It's a complete separate tangent, but love Ty Howe, man. That's a core guy. It's an underrated piece in college football.
No doubt.
Having one of those guys and still in the locker room as a coach now, not every kid's going to be able to really understand that. But as we're sitting here speaking on Penn State football, that's a core piece of, like, the history of Penn State football. Ty Howe, shout out to him, man, running the Aces. And he's got some guys in there, man, some guys I really like. I had a chance to speak to some in this offseason, just casually. Yeah. And I think that'll be a big role or a big key part of this offense. Tight ends, quarterback's best friend.
Yeah.
Work the middle. These guys got a blend of everything, speed, size. They're going to block. We know that. They're going to block. And starting with those guys, I think that'll be maybe in my head the first read or whatever you want to say. Yeah. Being that we have some receivers. The receiver group, I think, is full of talent. I'm super excited to see who kind of, like, steps up and becomes that guy.
Someone has to.
And I think that's the question mark, really. Who's going to be that guy that Drew, as we've seen the Godwins of the last few years, the A-Rob, whoever it may be, the Deshaun Hamilton, that guy that kind of racks in the receptions, the reliable, let's find him.
Yeah. I think you brought up a good point, too, about the tight end room and taking it big picture. The ability to run the football, and you highlighted, these guys aren't single-dimensional type guys. They aren't just big guys that can run and catch and don't want to block,
right?
Or guys that can't move worth a lick but will stick their head in there, and that defensive coordinators can kind of put keys on, right? Yeah. These guys are the Swiss Army knives that the position's supposed to be, and they create a ton of mismatches. And with the ability to run the football and their willingness to block, to your point, I think you have a very unique opportunity to create some very advantageous mismatches with a kid who can run and separate against a linebacker who is reading run key first, or a safety who's filling in quarters in run key first, and then being able to get those guys out. So to your point, I think that almost synergistically, if that's even a word.
And if it isn't, I like it. I like it.
Sounded good, right? Helps with those question marks at the wide receiver position.
That's true.
You know what I mean? And, Marcus Hagen's coming up there from Virginia. He's a guy who recruited me at UVA. He's a 757 boy, biscuit. So Coach Franklin's poaching all the guys. He's got Dex up there. He's got Marcus up there now. I think he's going to do a great job of developing those guys. And the one thing I want to talk about, too, and I want to get your opinion on, is the transfer portal, right? I think the transfer portal, and especially at the receiver position, I'm not saying it's a dime a dozen, but you can find guys at that position pretty much at a pretty impressive clip. They're out there, right? It's not like finding a Drew Allar quarterback. You can go out and find a guy who can separate and get you some catches and get some confidence specifically in a system. So, the one guy that I'm going to keep an eye out on, because it's kind of outside of the frameworks of what Penn State's done from a recruiting standpoint, I think, when you look at just body types, right, is the kid from Florida State, Malik McLean.
Yeah, transfer.
He's 6'4", he's a big body, he's a transfer. And then you got Dante Cephas, obviously, who's probably another one who transferred in from Toledo, who's got a ton of ball under his belt. I'm curious to see how they come in and apply that to the new system, new phase. And they had a pretty good success story last year with a transfer. So when you look at McLean, though, he's not that 6 foot shorter guy. The transition can kind of play all the, like I said, he's kind of like that old school traditional X, big body, and could be a guy, if he continues to grow and continues to show separation abilities, big catch radius, that can almost be a safety blanket for a young quarterback early on, kind of like Allen was for me.
Yeah, that'd be beautiful.
So I think that's really interesting, and the offensive side of the ball is I think, like I said, it's been in the best hands and the best position that Penn State football has been in quite some time. Yeah. I mean, even the 16 team that you guys played on, there was a lot of question marks coming into that, and you guys had Saquon, you had Trace, you had Chris come back. Like, you had some guys, but there was still, I think, some question marks. Here, your question marks are, you're saying it, but it's like, this kid's got a ton of talent, and this kid's got a ton of talent. Can they just come in and can we make it all work?
Yeah, I think opposite of the 2016 team, like you said, this squad this offensive identity has shown they can impose their will. That's what you said. Yeah. And like you said, I'm not sure if we had that. Yeah. We had explosive players and explosive plays and creative plays, but I'm not sure if we just lined up and boom, zone, and just
I've said that too.
Grinded for 6 yards.
Like, as impressive of a career as Saquon's had, and I got to play with him when he was a true freshman. As impressive of a career as he had, when you go back and actually watch his tape, like, he had a lot of negative 1 yard, 2 yard gains, but you hand him the ball 25 times, he's going to break 5 of them.
Something's going to pop.
You know what I mean?
Something's going to pop.
And like I said, it wasn't necessarily like dude was running through, I was like, imagine if Saquon was at Wisconsin, what kind of college career he would have had, you know what I mean? And thankfully, I think Penn State's finally getting to that point where they're getting back to that old school, hard-nosed, physical up-front mentality. And I think that you're only going to benefit, especially with the stable they have now. So.
And kind of coming back to the receivers, I know I say, someone has to kind of develop to become that guy, but maybe they don't. Like you said, if it's an all-around kind of balanced offense, tight end, because, there's only one ball.
Right.
The running back's got to touch it. They're going to touch it. Yeah. Tight ends are going to have their plays, their touches, and also I'm not really going to expect, and it'll be a beautiful sight, it'll be fun football to watch, but I'm not going to expect Drew to drop back and sling it 40, 50 times a game, in a wide open spread offense where there's 4 receivers on the field at once. So it doesn't have to, no one has to become that guy, but everyone has to do their part and be ready when the ball comes their way.
Listen, man, you don't, and I think people get caught up in that. Like, you don't, at the end of the day, football is a simple game, man. It's numbers, leverage, and matchups. And at the end of the day, however you create those matchups and however you do those things, like I said, it might not be sexy. It might not be, that 35-point-a-game type of offense that you want to see. But if it's effective and you win games, it can be death by 1,000 cuts.
Right.
And I think you're putting the kid in the best situation to be successful. And offensively, you're spreading the touches. And I think that puts us in a perfect tee up position to talk about the defense. Yes. Because when you have an offense like that, you better have a defense that can go out there and take the ball away and be stout and bend and don't break. And this defense is loaded. And they lost guys, which is crazy. They lost a lot of guys, baby. But this defense keeps doing it, dude. So I want to hear your thoughts on the defensive side of the ball, and I'm going to let this be your part. You know, we talked about the offense. I'm just the quarterback, but I really want to hear your thoughts in depth about defense, and I can give kind of some big picture thoughts in terms of my opinion on it. But what do you got, B?
Well, I'll just say, folks, this is why you're tuning in to the Pocket Podcast. I mean, we know ball. I'm not going to be coy about it. We know ball. We know Penn State football. And kind of give you a different perspective and different angle on what you may watch on the Saturdays that are coming. So just excited to be here, talk ball, and defense is what I love to talk about.
Yeah,
so,
man.
I mean, Manny Diaz came in from Miami. I think he's done an incredible job so far. And I had a chance to talk with a few guys in New York City this past summer. And I think the biggest thing for me is confidence. You can just see it. Like, it's the aura about them. And that's what, I mean, college football, honestly, like you said, it's a simple game.
Yeah.
Confidence in college football alone, it can take you very far.
No doubt.
You know, without schematics, without the game plan, you line up against a guy and you're confident in that matchup, you'll go a long way. But just to see that from these guys on top of an aggressive kind of play caller, it's just fun to watch. It's fun to watch, like you said. Taking the ball away, I think that's a key emphasis, always is, as the squad knows, and the guys are thinking that way. It's about the ball, you know. Ball's in the air. It's truly a 50-50 ball. Kalen King, just I think nominated preseason All-American. Yep. You know, that's the big, sexy position, but it starts up front. And I think they've got dogs up front, and they've got depth, which, once again, you know, you can kind of rotate those big boys a little bit, let a few guys get some reps here and there without any slack or drop-off or expectation of drop-off. I think that makes it fun. And then the linebackers, my position, my guys, the LBUs, you know, I speak to those guys whenever I can and just really inflicting that confidence. You know, you're the leader. You make the plays, just have fun out there, fly around. And I think Manny Diaz puts these guys in a position to do exactly that.
Yep. You know, Abdul Carter is probably the guy that, you know, everyone's talking about. You know, Micah Parsons, who's the next. He's doing a great job of stepping in. I want to get your opinion on a kid that I watched his high school tape. I'm not a big pay attention to recruits. I want those guys to get on the field and show me stuff. But you know, this is a Virginia kid. He's got a soft spot for me. The Tony Rojas kid.
Yeah.
You know, when you look at his frame, you know, 6'3", 6'4", long, lanky, can run. What are your thoughts on him? Do you think that he's going to be able to mature and grow up? Again, you had the experience of stepping in as a true freshman, having to get some burn, having to play pretty consistently. You know, the physical toll. He's done a great job with Chuck. Chuck's one of the best in the game and growing guys. You know,
shout out to those guys, man. The strength staff.
The kid's blown up already.
Yeah.
I mean, he's almost 235 pounds. He looks great. I'm really excited to see what he can bring as kind of that Robin to Abdul on that side, and I think you need that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've only heard good things about him so far. Yeah. I've heard he's definitely flashed as a true freshman.
Yeah.
That's a big part of it, you know. Getting the coaches on notice, like, hey, I deserve to be on the field.
Yeah.
You know. And I think he's done that so far. Like you said, the frame, Chuck Losey, those guys. A lot of people may not know the strength staff is who these kids spend most of the time with.
Yeah.
And Penn State's got a great one. Losey, Alvin, all the guys there. They do a great job, and everyone loves Chuck.
Right.
And I think he'll definitely see the field. It'll probably be special teams. You obviously get his feet wet, get him hitting out there. And I think, as we've seen with Abdul Carter and Micah, some of these guys, you start making enough plays on there, it's like, okay, this kid deserves some reps out there on the defense. And I believe we'll see it. But as also we said, we've got depth now. So if it doesn't happen and he's here extra year, shoot, I'm not complaining, to be honest.
No doubt.
Definitely can step into that leadership role. And that, I'm not sure who kind of holds that right now.
Yeah.
Once again, it's not always necessary, but as we get our ear a little bit closer to the locker room, to the streets, I love to kind of be entwined with that knowledge just to see who's kind of running the show.
Yeah, well, you think so. I mean, someone's going to step up, right? You need that. I mean, if Penn State's going to meet the expectations, someone's going to step up on that side of the ball. Kind of going back to mindset, defensive philosophy, those types of things. You know, one thing that I've talked about on the Penn State side, and I think is a really unique angle on this, is that when you look at the personnel that Penn State has brought in, they've brought in those guys that can play sideline to sideline, multi-personnel. You know, the linebackers haven't always, you had Brandon Smith, 6'5", could fly, was a 4.4 kid. You had guys who were built for the Ohio States of the world, right? Where you're not necessarily going to be able to create matchups. Even the defensive line, you got smaller frame guys who could move, great pass rushers, not necessarily guys who are going to hold two gaps in a downhill run type of team. And you saw we've kind of struggled with that when Michigan brought that mentality in. What do you see with their personnel decisions in terms of who they're recruiting and how they're recruiting? Because, again, I see it as they've tried to match up more so with the spread Ohio State sideline to sideline type of guys, and they give those teams problems. Yeah. But when you meet somebody who has that downhill physical run game and that type of presence, sometimes those matchups are tough. And it goes back to what I said. Football is about numbers, leverage, and matchups, right? So how do you think that this team has maybe closed the gap on that? Like you said, up front, defensively on the defensive line, they got some physical guys that have showed some things. How do you see that playing in? Is there any merit to my opinion on that?
No, for sure.
And what are your thoughts?
For sure. I mean, body type is definitely a big part of that. But as we know, Michigan is kind of retro in that regard. Right. So I think they definitely kind of molded, we need athletes on the field really at every position. Yeah. Just because you're 300 or 285 D tackle doesn't mean you can't be an athlete.
No, for sure.
Need you, in that regard to be able to move, which I think they've purposefully definitely recruited in that direction. I remember maybe 2-3 years ago before Pride went to Virginia Tech, just on a visit up there, and I said the same thing, like, oh, linebackers look good. These guys, everyone looks way better than me in a jersey. They were kind of joking, like, yeah, we don't even recruit guys like you anymore. I was like, shoot, man. I mean, it's kind of true. Like you said, that's when B. Smith was still there. Yeah. Shout out to him with the Panthers.
Another Virginia guy.
Yeah. They have done well in Virginia. I'm not going to lie. Yep. Etor, that's another one. Uh-huh. But, I think the body type, the athletes, like you said, Rojas, 6'3", 6'2", whatever, they definitely look out for that because you got to be able to keep up more so with the speed. Yeah. Now, when it comes to the Michigans and Minnesota and Iowa, Georgia.
Let's talk big picture, right? Yeah. Like national championship contender like Georgia. I mean, you know what I mean? You gotta. You're selecting from such a small pool, right? Where you're saying there's a fine balance between being a very large human being and being a really, really good athlete too. Like they're unicorns, right? But the collective kings of college football continually bring in those types of guys, and if we're going to get there, I think that we have to continue to do that or create it. Yeah, right.
I think that's the part you look for, and I always tell people this too. And whatever type of football you're talking, pros, college, the coaches and the strength staff, they put it on the onus on themselves too to create. Yeah. Development is a thing. They recruit this kid out of high school. Yeah, he may not be an All-American right now, but with our confidence as a coach, as a strength staff, we believe we can build this kid up to become.
There's projection.
There's projection. Yeah. And I think the mold they start with is whatever kind of athletic. We're talking big bodies, D linemen right now, that they can become a Jalen Carter, who's not necessarily, like you said, a plug up a whole thing, but he can create havoc in any way against any offense. It really doesn't matter. So I think when those Michigan games roll around, half of it is just mindset. Yeah. We know what they're going to do. We saw what happened last year. Yeah. They're not going to be shy about it. We know how hard ball is. If we got to buckle up and we got to beat blocks, it's simple. Yeah. It's not really too much schematics about it. We got to beat blocks, get off blocks, and tackle. Right. And I think when those games come around, that's regardless of scheme and what type of body types you got up front, that at the end of the day is we got to stop the run. Yeah. And make whoever lines up at quarterback beat us.
Yeah. Like you said, it kind of plays into what they are offensively, like a ball control type of mentality. If you can stop those guys, get some turnovers, and let the offense eat up clock, 3 yards in a cloud of dust wins you a lot of football games. Yeah,
let those D linemen, let the guys, Chop Robinson, Isaac, pin their ears back, get a chance to pass rush, and make the quarterback beat you.
Right.
You know,
right.
Get those guys off track, off pace.
Right. So we've done a lot of projection. We talked a little bit about the rosters. We talked both sides. Now let's get into West Virginia. You know, it's coming down the pipe. I think you could argue that the Purdue game was a great start off last year for the team, but you know, this is going to be at home under the lights against an old school rival with all of this hype going into the program.
Yeah.
Like I can only imagine what Happy Valley is going to be like.
Right.
On game day and even the night before. But this West Virginia team, like I said, I think they revitalized a great concept of bringing in some old school rivalries, some proven programs, and getting these guys a run against somebody that is a formidable
no slouch,
right?
No
You're not
slouch.
talking about bringing in somebody from South Dakota State or something, not knocking those programs, but there's a difference in level.
Yeah, we know how that goes.
So you're bringing in West Virginia. The atmosphere is going to be electric, so on and so forth. What are your thoughts with those kind of mixture of opportunity and hype and all this stuff going into it? Because, I mean, it is a ton of emotion. I think it's a great kickoff.
It really is. It really is. And I think there is a lot that goes into it. Outside of, we spoke on expectations and things like that for certain players, really everyone. I think such a big game environment, week one, will say a lot.
Yeah.
Will definitely speak volumes to, I'm not going to say it's going to put the season on any type of trajectory, but I'll just say, like you said, it's a grand opportunity for guys, question marks, no question marks, just to make an impact on this season and this team, really put your best foot forward. Because, it's not a noon kickoff against so-and-so college. This is a big game. And best believe West Virginia sees it that same way.
No
There's the opportunity.
Knock off number 7 team in the country.
Number 7 team, you're the hunted now. Yeah. It's not really, Penn State's always kind of been the hunted, but people are coming after you. Yeah. West Virginia is coming after. Yeah. Sure. I don't know if we can curse on here or not, but they're coming after you. So I think that'll be fired up. Chance for them to put their name on the national map week one. And it's definitely a lot of hype. I'm excited to see how the guys react to it. Defense, offense as a whole, individual players. Just word of advice, just soak it all in, enjoy it, and it's fun. That's the games that I kind of live for,
Right.
Under the lights. It really gets no better. What is it, NBC? We got Noah Eagle. Yeah. I'm actually excited. Just pay attention more to the broadcast and how that works now. I'm excited for him, his kind of debut. Love his voice, and it'll be a good one. I'm excited to be there. You gonna be up there?
I'm not gonna make that one.
Okay.
I'm going up to Delaware.
No, you Del.
yeah. First Penn State game, first experience for my son. So we're stoked
good.
about it. Yeah, man.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, get Hayes up there. But
shoot, Del's tough too. That'll be another opportunity for those guys.
Yeah. But I'm really excited. And I think there's so much fluff. People are trying to figure out things to talk about, and I think ultimately you really define. You find whether that question mark is going to become an exclamation point or a period really fast.
Yeah.
And I think that's really good for a team like this. You're gonna get your lumps early. You're gonna figure out where you are,
right?
And you're gonna figure out where you need to go. And you get a couple games before you really get into the meat of that schedule to really correct anything that may be a glaring inefficiency or something like that. But again, the hype is real. I'm super stoked about the team. I think that Happy Valley's buzzing. And can't wait for the lights to come on and the ball to get kicked. So with that, I really, really want to appreciate for Brandon and me, for you guys tuning in. And again, this is just the start. We're going to try to bring you guys reactions. We're going to try to bring you guys some more kind of unique perspective, unique analysis that I think is kind of hard to find. We usually try to look for the points that are off the beaten path,
in the weeds.
Right? Yeah, we stay off the highway, we stay off I-81, and we try to make sure that we give you guys unique perspective, guys who've been there, done that, seen it from a lot of different angles at a lot of different levels, and continuing to bring the fans this experience, and then also a ton of in-person experiences up at school. Like I said, bringing this whole thing full circle. It's really attacking the NIL, getting the Penn State community excited about what's to come at Happy Valley, and giving Coach Franklin all the support he needs from former players like us, giving current players a great opportunity to continue to grow their marketing value and ultimately attract the best of the best to Happy Valley. You got anything to add on that point, B?
No, man. Excited to get this thing rolling, as you said. And I think, when we watch the games and we see things, we read the articles, we're going to see it from a slightly different perspective, as you spoke upon. And I hear it all the time. Former players, whether at Penn State and the pros, we want to see more, athletes speaking on what they've been through. They can really attest to the situation and how things are kind of moving about that people pay attention to. I know I speak to Kabinda about it a lot of times. Yeah. And just on that note, teammates, look out for us. We'll be hitting you guys up. Love for you guys to come join, ex-teammates, Penn State alum. Blessed enough because the alumni, is so strong.
Right.
I've actually got a chance to meet a lot more older guys, Letterman.
The old heads, man.
The old heads, and I love it. Every opportunity I get a chance to meet those guys because they want to give back.
Yeah.
Maybe not so sure how. And even if it's just giving game, come on up, hit us up. Love to have you. Love to get your perspectives because ultimately we know the fans want to hear about it. Yeah. They love Penn State football. And shoot, we love it too. So just kind of give you everything we got.
Yeah, I think it's really trying to leverage the community. I think we got one of the strongest, not only fan bases, but Letterman club in the country.
True.
I was down at an event, talked to Brandon Short, talked to LeVar. T. Smalls is on staff. Ty,
Smitty.
Coach Franklin brought all the guys down there.
Dion. That's a big move, man.
I mean, shoot, dude. So this Letterman group really wants to continue to bring the fans the best experience, and again, ultimately make the program better and give them a platform. So. You guys can listen to us on anywhere where you find podcasts. You can follow us at the Pocket Podcast on social. And again, we really appreciate you guys getting this thing off the ground. We're going to continue to pump out some content, continue to be consistent, continue to show up for you guys, bring in unique faces, bring in maybe some not familiar faces, but people who are going to bring a lot of value. And we're super stoked about this. So
yes, sir.
With that, this is The Pocket with Christian Hackenberg.
B. Bell.
And we'll see you guys soon.